Right, we're going to look at a full breakdown here of football fitness. Going to show you football S&C testing. Okay, so if you are in a situation just now, well, maybe you're coming up at the end of your season, you're looking at the off season, I'll just give you a quick overview of really the things you need to be aware of. So we'll look at life as the first place to always start, so we'll look at your own habits, we'll look at our sleep, our nutrition, and our own personal productivity. You can have the best plan in the world. If you're not going to do it, you're not productive and you're procrastinating over it, you keep missing sessions, it's pretty much pointless. When I look at the habits here, I pretty much just have it as simple as, I'm going to write this in right now, eat like an adult. Okay, so you know what's good, you know what's bad, you know what you should be eating, just eat like an adult. Get to bed, obviously you know we need sleep. You can arse around and try and get away with it, but you know as well as I do that if you don't sleep, you're going to feel like crap. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Eat like an adult, get to bed, and train. Oh, in fact, you know what? Do what you know you need to. There you go. You do those three things, you're 99% of the way there. And the 1% is all the shite you see on social media. All the marketing bullshit, and the 1% of the fancy gimmicks and the little tiny things that people spend more time on than just doing this stuff. You'll see people very often doing drinking special teas or going for cryotherapy and having massages and doing special things. But most of the time, this is the stuff they struggle with. The other stuff just masks that stuff because they're not doing this very well. So they do this other stuff to make it look like they're doing all this fancy stuff, but really they're probably up late, they're probably not eating very well, and they're probably missing more sessions than they're led to believe. And that is the unfortunate beauty of social media. You can ignore that, and as long as you're doing this, I can guarantee you speak to almost every elite player. If you could do that, but if you speak to a few elite players, they often do say, I just watch what I eat, I make sure I get my sleep. And they attend training sessions. They get paid to attend training sessions, obviously. And then we look at schedule. You look at your own schedule, you need to look at when you can actually train. Now, for some of you, you're going to be training, say, 3 or 4 days a week with your squad. Maybe you've got a couple of individual sessions. Some of you might be playing amateur, and you might be only training twice a week with your squad and not doing any individual sessions. That's going to dictate how often you can train. So you need to look at that from an individual circumstance. So you can't go and do a pro level football player's programme when realistically they've got every single day of the week to train, where you have got full-time work, studies, maybe you've got squad sessions, individual sessions, or maybe you've got nothing in that and you've got a really hard job, it's 13-hour days and a lot of travel, and you've got a young family, and there's lots of stuff happening there. You could be someone at school and you rely on your parents to take you places, but you can't get there because of you don't drive or something's too far away. There's lots of circumstances here that means you can't just blindly follow an elite level player's programme because it's in no way relevant to you. And then obviously your social side of things, how social are you? Are you someone who enjoys going out all the time and you can't commit to a more consistent programme? That's going to probably relate to your playing level. If you're amateur, you're probably going to be on a few beers, most likely the weekend, whereas if you're an aspiring pro, you might not drink at all, you might not be out as often, you might be a little bit younger. You look at stress, which I've already touched on. This is going to hugely dictate on how you can recover. Stress is stress at the end of the day, so if it's physical or mental or however any form it takes, it's going to impact our body. So if you've had a big exam, a big job interview, a new family, a sort of baby comes around, or you're getting married, or you're having financial troubles, or you've got something happening in your personal life, your family life, I can guarantee you have way less energy and way less recovery time than normal, because your body's going to be working hard to try and help you get through that. Your body's going to be ramped up. It's going to be in what we call the sympathetic nervous system. It's going to be all ramped up, fight or flight, when instead, when you're in recovery, we want to get you in the parasympathetic nervous system as soon as we possibly can. But if you've got finishing training after having physical stress, your body's amped up, try to get back down to the parasympathetic is stuff like sleep, it's like breathing, it's like relaxation, anything that allows your body to chill out again and wind down is what we're looking for. But if you finish work and go straight into a chaotic environment, it's going to be difficult for you. And that's why you might see some people who train at lunchtime and they go straight from lunchtime, zoom right out the gym, straight into an office, and it's chaos. they're constantly amped up all day, and then they go home after work and they've got shit to deal with, and it sort of spirals. People at school, maybe you're 16, 17, you finish school, you're straight to football training, you finish football training, you're straight on your phone looking at Instagram, then you're looking at Netflix, your head's 100 miles per hour. You're never really getting that recovery. Do not overlook this stuff. This is the stuff that will absolutely make or break a programme. The training stuff's obviously the fun stuff, but no training programme in the world is going to last very long without getting this stuff sorted. You're going to either stop doing it very quickly because you can't commit to it because your schedule's not right, or you're not going to get good results because your sleep and nutrition's not right, or you're just not doing it, or you're going to get exhausted, overworked, under-recovered, feel like crap, not get results, and just be in a bad mood and tired all the time because of this. So you need to try and look at these three things as the foundational components of whatever it is you're doing. So I call that testing. Give yourself a little life audit. And then you look at movement quality. You've got joints and you've got muscles. Joints, we want to look at stability, mobility, and you can look at some motor control. How do you move? How does the ankle move? How does the hips move? How does the spine move? How does the shoulder move? Now, don't overlook this stuff either. You can skip this stuff because it seems quite rehabby and boring. It doesn't have to be rehabby. You can put this in your warm-ups. You can put it in between exercises as a little bit of a filler. But this isn't just you standing stretching. This is you moving correctly through all planes of motion. So moving side to side, rotating forward and back, making sure your ankle and foot can do that, making sure your hips can do that, making sure your spine can and shoulder can. If you've got an office job, chances are hips and spine will be tight. Chances are you might get some shoulder niggles. If you are been playing for long enough, you've probably got a good few ankle injuries, and you might even had a few knee injuries. Now, if you've had two of these injuries, chances are your knee's been acting up as well. So this stuff's always going to hinder. The most important thing for you is availability. So stay on top of that, or you'll struggle to stay available. And as a bit of a bonus, if you get it right, you're going to optimise your power and speed. Then we look at muscles. Injury history, niggles, these are things you have to check out. Again, in terms of testing, if you went to a top club, they would test these two things. They would check your joints and muscles through a medical, through a physio assessment, and make sure that they're on top of your injury history. What's the risk that's going to happen again? If you get injured, the chance you get injured again increases. And then you've got niggling injuries, which we've all had in the past, but if that's something that's always eating away at you, it's going to impact your performance. So make note of that and make sure you get rid of it. You usually can get rid of these things by fixing this stuff and fixing this stuff. Now we look at the funner stuff, the conditioning. You've got aerobic fitness and anaerobic fitness, so let's just look at that as a big engine and look at this as like fast explosive stuff, whether we're repeating it or we're doing it for short durations, and this is just the long stuff that helps us recover and allows us to last 90 minutes. Now, I'll run through this quickly, but for aerobic fitness, you're really looking at your resting heart rate below 60 beats per minute. Take it over 7 days. Your aerobic fitness heart rate recovery, what you want to do is just basically after a few hard efforts of whatever you're doing, you can check your heart rate recovery. Does it drop between 30 to 40 beats per minute within 60 seconds? If it does, then you can then test yourself on maximum aerobic speed and looking at that. Now you can take all three of these, that's absolutely fine, but this is sort of your bread and butter in my opinion. You need to make sure this is absolutely foundational. This wouldn't be an issue if you train often. It won't be an issue if you come back from an injury or you're just completely overestimating how fit you are, but most players meet this absolutely fine. And then check your heart rate recovery. You could probably pair these together by doing this test. So you do a 1.6 or 2 kilometre time trial, run it as fast as you can, and then as soon as it finishes, keep an eye on your heart rate and see if it drops between 30 to 40 beats per minute within 60 seconds. You can also do a yo-yo test, an IR1. It's called a yo-yo intermittent recovery 1, and there's also another one, intermittent recovery 2, but still looking at aerobic fitness here. This is more a longer test versus this one. You can also do a 30-15. All of these things will allow you to calculate your maximum aerobic speed. Alright, this is pretty common. The maximum aerobic speed doesn't say, okay, you're now football fit, but it does allow you to individualise running distances. Don't stress about that too much. I would worry about that, and then I would then do a yo-yo IR2. 30-15 is great as well, but you can do a yo-yo IR2. You can download the app. Just type in yo-yo IR2 to the App Store, whether it be Apple or Google Play. Just stick it in, it'll pop up. I'm pretty sure there's a free version, or there's one on YouTube of just an MP3, and just go for it, give it a crack and see what you can get. You want to try and, for me, I like to see players getting close to 1300 metres, I think 1280 is sort of level, and then the level above that's 1320. So if you can get 1280 or above, I think that's classed as like elite, which would be a good indication that you will do quite well when it comes to your fitness stuff. So it's something I recommend. I just realised as well that I'm not even facing the camera here, so I'm going to deal with that. Tough. We're just going to have to deal with it. Okay, so we will then look at the next part, anaerobic fitness. This is the fast explosive stuff. So what you can do is you can do a repeat sprintability test, or you can do some speed tests. Now, speed test is a way down here. It's technically classed as anaerobic as well, but in terms of conditioning, a repeat speed's most common here. But like, in all honesty, if I was you, I would just focus on that one, and then these two. Okay, and I wouldn't worry about that one too much unless you've got a coach or myself or somebody else helping you to give you running distances, because otherwise you've just got a number and you don't really know what to do with it. The point of the maximum aerobic speed is to allow you to individualise running distances. So if you don't know your maximum aerobic speed, or you do know it, and you don't know what to do with it, it's just, you've just done a test for no reason. But if you do this, you know sort of what your level is and what your standard is and what you try and have to beat. So I think that's a better option, and I'll just use these two as my aerobic fitness tests. I think you'll have a good indication of where you're at. Then we look at body fat and body weight. So standard on scales regularly, know what weight we are. Like, some people don't like putting an emphasis on body weight, but I think it's really, really important positionally. You should know what your body weight is. You should know it to keep yourself in check in terms of nutrition, and it makes a big impact in your game. It improves condition, it improves your speed. It can be impacted by relative strength when we get into the strength stuff, so I would definitely look at that. You can get a DEXA scan, which is costly, not too expensive, like 90 US Australian dollars or something like that, 80 Australian dollars. That's like you get in a machine, take 5 minutes and you'll get a DEXA scan, probably more accurate. Skin fold, you'll need someone to do them for you. Probably a nutritionist will do it for you if you go to see a nutritionist. And then a US Navy calculator, so if you type that in Google, you take like 2 or 3 measurements and you can compare it. It's not the best, but it's not bad. And then photos. So scales and photos are the two I use, because you can quickly look at a player, and you can probably do the same. You can look at yourself and go, I need to shift weight, I need to gain some muscle. I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, I'm in between, I'm quite right. You'll know by looking at yourself and then looking at the weight. If you're 10 kilograms heavier than you usually are, and you feel like you've got a bit of body fat, then chances are you need to shift a bit. If you're weighing 45 kilograms and you look lean, chances are you're too skinny, and then etc, you know where I'm going with that. So sort that out. Then look at strength, lower body. There's lots of different tests you can do. I would do, in practicality, I would just pick like a trap bar deadlift. It's easy to do, easy to learn. There's not a ton of risk in it because it's on the floor, it's not on your back like a back squat. And just pick a weight that you can do for like, you can do for like 4 to 5 reps, and then try and get as many as you can with it. And then say you get 8 reps, you can just throw into Google a 1 rep max calculator. You just Google estimated 1 rep max calculator, and if you're working with me at Football Fitness Academy, it's built into the Football Fitness app, so you'll just see what it is, and then you just use that as your estimate rather than doing a 1 rep max yourself, which is high risk, it's heavy, you need to go even heavier. There's no need to get injured testing your 1 rep max. So you just estimate it, and if it's out 5 or 6 kilograms, it doesn't really matter. You're not trained to be a power lifter. It's just to give us an idea. Upper body, honestly, you can do bench press and weighted chin up. I don't focus on that too much. You can. Strength wise, I look more at push ups and chin ups. You can see that as endurance more than anything else. I would still see chin up as a bit of strength, but this is definitely relative strength. So what is the strength relative to your body weight? So again, if you put on 5 kilograms and you're trying to build some muscle, but these two plummet, I wouldn't be too happy. I'd rather your relative strength bounced up. So as you got heavier, your strength also came up with it relative to your body weight, because your body weight is what you're moving around the football pitch. Same with your deadlift stuff or your squats or whatever. Compare it to your body weight rather than being like, oh, I lift 200 kilograms. You can say I lift 2 times my body weight. Because you could be talking to a guy who says I lift 200 kilograms but he weighs 110, whereas you might weigh 60 and you say I lift 2 times my body weight and they only lift like 1.8 or whatever it might be. So I would compare it to your body weight. That's more relevant to a footballer. And then we look at power. You've got loads of different things. Simplicity, just use a broad jump, tape measure, jump as far as you possibly can, mark where your heels are, and that's your score. get above 250 centimetres is not bad. Getting closer to 3, obviously a lot better, but I would say 250 is a minimum. And then you can look at a triple hop. So you've got explosive power and reactive power. Triple hop is looking at, like, think floor is lava, so you're quick off the floor. How quickly can you get, how far can you get by still just rebounding off the floor, not giving you a lot of time to generate power. You just have to generate it very, very quickly. That's a really good one for you. And then that's just a tape measure as well. And then we look at speed. You can just do maximum sprint speed, because the chances are you won't have timing gates. You might just have a stopwatch, or you can just use a mobile phone, and download like an app called Coach's Eye, or like a micro timer, where it gives you the 0.seconds, record the video of you sprinting, and then just go back to the video and see where you started at the cone and where you finished, and just get the site time. Or alternatively, you can just use a stopwatch. Less accurate, but again, if you're just wanting a quick idea, you can use a stopwatch or mate to do it for you. Now, speed stuff, change of direction, I don't really do a ton of change of direction testing. I think it's not that useful in my opinion. Agility is often spoken about, but you need a reactive component. Agility and change of direction are not the same thing. Agility is going to need you to see something and then react to that. So you're going to have visual cues from, in a game it would be where the ball is, where the player is, how an opponent drops a shoulder, etc, etc, etc. Some people try and replicate that with technology, with lights, etc. It's very, very dirty science. I would not say it's super accurate. Change of direction, if you had to do one, I'd probably do like a 505 or an arrowhead agility. But anything that doesn't need a reaction, just cones, you can do it. It's not bad. It's fairly useful. Just make sure the surface is repeatable, so you're not doing it on grass and then doing it on synthetic next time, or it's wet one day and it's dry the next time. Keep it the same. But to keep things super simple, I've bolded what I would do. Obviously, this and this is your foundation, life and movement quality. You're going to get injured and you're going to perform pretty crap if these two aren't sorted. So we'll pretend you're on top of that. In terms of aerobic, I would just tick that off, which will be fine. I would make sure that's up to date. This is sort of optional, depending if you know what you're doing, or you've got a coach working with you. But I would do resting heart rate recovery, yo-yo IR2. I would get my body weight. I'd get some photos. If you can afford a DEXA scan, get one. But if not, get scales and the photos. Estimate your 1 rep max for trap bar deadlift, push-ups, max chin-ups, broad jump, triple hop, and then potentially this one. Not a huge deal if you can't do this, to be honest. That if you're really good on this and really good on this, the chances are your sprint speed's not bad, or your broad jump's not bad. But in a nutshell, that would be football S&C testing for amateur, part-time players who don't have a lot of equipment, don't have a lot of resources. Out of all this, you need a heart rate monitor. You could technically just do the old finger on the neck and do the pulse, but most people have got smartwatches now, so you could do that, or you can buy a chest strap for like $60. Buy a chest strap, get that sorted. You just need a mobile phone and a speaker for this one. Scales, a camera, a gym, a tape measure. Alright, so overall, the only thing you're really paying for here is a tape I'm sure you've got a tape measure, is a smartwatch. So hopefully that's useful for you to give you an idea of things we look at. Now you can see there's a lot of stuff. I could have put in way more stuff here, way more stuff and more information, but it just becomes confusing. And at the end of the day, you're not training to be a brilliant deadlifter or a brilliant person at push-ups or chin-ups or any of this stuff. Nobody cares. Realistically, no one cares how far you can broad jump or how much you can deadlift. The point of this is to give you peace of mind and S&C coaches and whoever's working with you that you are strong enough. Big tick, cool, now you're strong enough, now your power will be better, now your speed will be better, now you're more resilient, now here's your baseline. Now if you get injured and you'll try to get back to match fitness, say your name's Johnny used to trap bar deadlift 2 times his body weight, then he done his ACL, we're bringing him back, he reckons he's match fit, but he's still can only deadlift 1 times his body weight, everything else is too hard. We know you've got a little bit more to get back to your baseline. That's the purpose of a lot of this stuff. Past a certain point of strength, you're going to be strong enough. It's going to be about maintenance, which, to be honest, most football players I come across aren't strong enough yet. You can argue how strong is too strong, but in my opinion, it's not about being too strong, it's about wasting training time on strength when you could be doing other things more productive to football, or if you're at a different level, more productive things in your life. So I think you can be strong enough. Power and speed, something you can always work towards. So once you're strong enough, you can really start to hammer power and speed. And then obviously, because of life, because of nutrition, because of different times or levels you're at, the body weight, body fat is always going to be an issue for people, because you're going to want to obviously maybe build muscle for personal reasons or for football reasons, or you want to shift body fat, personal reasons or football reasons. And that's something that's always a work in progress, as is this, and as is conditioning, because as you and I both know, there's off-season, in-season, pre-season. At different times of the year, we feel different ways. Maybe you're injured, or maybe you've had a long time off. So, a bit of a cliff notes, too long, don't read, mention of that. I know it's a very simple diagram, but hopefully it's helpful. You can take a few snapshots of that. You could ask 5 different S&C coaches and they could give you different preferences. But if you went to a top club, they would assess life, movement quality, your conditioning, your body composition, your strength, your power and your speed. And if you've got a bit of an athlete profile for yourself, then you've got a great starting point, and all you have to do is improve upon that. And that comes down to the programming and your consistency over time. And very simply, eat like an adult, go to bed, do what you need to do, and stick to your program. I can guarantee you can ignore the rest of the stuff, and you'll be well better off than 99% of the people out there spinning their wheels, trying fancy stuff, chopping and changing programs, doing things that often are really getting them very, very slow to nowhere. So there you go. Hope that was useful for you.